Accepting shortcomings. No human being is perfect. We all have our weaknesses and shortcomings. The trick is to identify our failures, make conscious efforts to overcome them, and set ourselves on the path to self improvement. Not accepting our shortcomings is both self deluding and self destructive, as this takes away the opportunity to correct our faults and convert our weaknesses to strengths. One can have shortcomings in character, in behavior, in skills, or in one's physique. These can be rectified only if we are brave and honest enough to take the first step, accepting them consciously. If you have faults, do not fear to abandon them. Ankit had a weakness for fast food. He loved gorging on burgers, fries, colas, and pizzas whenever he got an opportunity to do so. His parents cautioned him against his unhealthy eating habits and his increasing weight, but to no avail. Ankit simply refused to believe that he was no longer in control of himself, and unhealthy eating habits had enslaved him.
Everybody likes fast food.
He reasoned.
What is wrong with it? Don't kids in the West do it all the time?
He would ask his detractors. Ankit always thought that his friends were jealous when they poked fun at the plates of rolls and fries that he'd polish off when on outings.
They simply can't afford all this on their meager pocket allowances.
He told himself.
And I am not fat.
He would pat his middle with satisfaction.
It is only that these boys are weaklings. Undernourished poor sods.
Ankit's father was a wealthy businessman and had little time to spend with his family. His mother was though a bit worried about her adolescent son, who rarely ate home-cooked food these days. She, however, waved her apprehensions aside, thinking of Ankit's devotion to processed food and fizzy drinks as a passing fancy that he'd soon outgrow.
I suppose all boys of his age are like that,
she'd tell herself. Once, when his science teacher discussed balanced diet and healthy nutrition in class, Ankit got into a spirited argument, citing additional requirement of fats and carbohydrates in growing and physically active adolescents, giving examples and data on health statistics from American and European populations. The teacher told him to factor in climatic, genetic and lifestyle differences between tropical and temperate regions, but Ankit wouldn't budge from his stand. Convinced with his views, and with the goodness of junk food, Ankit continued to binge on his favorite double-decker burgers and rolls with gusto. His weight surged and so did his problems. He soon found he could not run around quickly on the badminton court. He became breathless while going up the steps to his classroom, and it became harder for him to stay awake in class after the recess. Though a bit alarmed, he kept up his visits to his usual haunts: McDonald's, Pizza Hut, and KFC outlets that had sprung up in the town. It was a particularly cold winter day, and the science teacher was discussing common adolescent ailments in class when Ankit suddenly felt an acute pain in his chest. He was unable to breathe. Gasping like a fish out of water, he fell unconscious on the floor. When he came to, he found himself surrounded by doctors and nurses in white, lying on his back on a hospital bed. His parents were sitting by his bedside, anxiety and grief written large on their faces.
What happened to me, Ma?
Ankit croaked.
Nothing, that can't be set right, young man.
Said the doctor, patting his head softly.
For now, just rest and try to get some sleep.
It was another 2 days before Ankit could be released from the hospital.
You want to know what happened to you?
His father's soft but firm voice addressed him as they sat down for lunch. Ankit looked at him anxiously.
You suffered a mild heart attack, a myocardial infarction, to be precise.
his father said, a hint of anger and disappointment in his voice.
Didn't your mother, your friends, and your teachers tell you anything about the harmful effects of fast food? Didn't you realize you were inviting trouble for yourself and for us by not accepting your weakness for the junk you kept eating all this time?
Ankit felt his cheeks flush with shame and embarrassment.
Now onwards, you'll eat what is right for you and what the doctors have advised you to.
His father continued.
You'll stick to the diet charts, and if you want to live some more, you'll never again touch a burger or a fry.
Ankit had learned two lessons that day. 1. Accept your weaknesses and shortcomings readily and consciously. And 2. The earlier you begin to make efforts to overcome them, the better it will be for you. It has been a year since, and today Ankit is an active and sprightly lad, fit as a fiddle. He shuns fast food religiously and urges others to do the same. It's home-cooked fare for him, now and always.